Mix the hues, create those fuses you make. Throw it on, let's see what happens. This is fun, it's pure passion. The colors are bright, it's a sight to see. If we can do it, you can too.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, Custom Carving and Epoxy UK. I've had a few people message me just asking what to do with their overpour. So if you've ever wondered what I do with my overpour when I do these large canvas projects, stay tuned and I'll show you how to not waste them. So after this, hopefully you'll never throw your overpour resin away ever again. Here we are back in the workshop, and for a change, I can actually enjoy a coffee for the first part because we're not going to be working with the epoxy straight away. So for this project, you're going to need some open back bezels like this, some form of tape, some scissors or a knife, and some UV resin, and of course, your overpour and a UV lamp. So if you're like me, you save all of your overpour in a plastic bag like this for just that occasion where it might be useful. So, and actually, if you look at these, there's some really, really intricate designs that you probably couldn't recreate if you tried. And that's why I like to save them. So, what we're going to try and do is make this waste product from a canvas like this into some amazing pendants, what hopefully somebody would want to buy. And if you look at all this, this was just from two small canvases that I did. But the way I do it is I collect it in sort of the plastic container, what I leave the canvases in so that they don't get any dust on. And then I'll collect it the next day while it's still a little bit soft and then just put it in a plastic bag for when I can get round to doing a little project like this. But there are some really, really intricate designs that you probably wouldn't get if you made it yourself. And that just comes from the excess epoxy dripping off the canvas onto the sides. So I've seen a lot of people where they just throw it away. And I think that's such a waste when actually you can make something out of it. So the first thing we're going to do is just have a look at these and select the pieces that we want. I'm only going to do about 3 or 4 in this tutorial just to show you, but it's a pretty straightforward process. Um, as long as you've got all of the bits together, then you should be able to do it. So I'm just going to pick 3 or 4 of these different shapes to show you what we're going to do. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It's amazing. We're starting to get some comments now. We're starting to build a true community here, which is what I always wanted. And hopefully we can share the knowledge and we can all learn together. So these are the ones I'm going to go with. Pretty straightforward, open bezels. You get them with most UV resin jewellery kits, or you can order them on Amazon. I'll put a few links in, but they're just basically open bezels. So now I'm just having a look on the pieces of epoxy, which ones I think would make a really good design. And then I'm just gonna, suppose, scribe in the shape of the inside of the pendant. There's probably an easier way to do this. But for the sake of this project, I just wanted to do 3 or 4 and see what they look like. So I'm just scribing the inside with my scissors. And then I'm going to use the scissors to just cut around the line that I had. Now you may need to play around with this a little bit, but again, I think all in, it will probably take you a minute or so to cut the epoxy to the size of the inside of that bezel. And it doesn't have to be perfect because you are going to be putting UV resin on the inside as well. So what it might be worth even looking at is, do you know what, put a different design in it. So you're only half covering the bezel and then have half with clear epoxy. Again, that would look good. Or maybe put some dandelion seeds in the other half or something like that. And then you can, I suppose, create different effects with it. But again, never throw it away. No matter how small a piece, I never throw it away and I keep it in a bag for projects like this. And you should find, as long as it's within a couple of weeks or so, it's still flexible enough to cut with scissors. I'm trying to get it just to the size where it will pop in. And as I say, this is the fiddly bit where you've got to make a few adjustments because you want that piece to fit in almost flush is what you're looking for. And then it's going to be pretty straightforward, but we're just going to hopefully fill them with epoxy um, and see what they look like.
Throw it on, let's see what happens. This is fun, it's pure passion. The colors are bright, it's a sight to see. If we can do it, you can too. Just follow me, like and subscribe.
And again, as part of this learning journey, I want everybody to learn from my mistakes as well. And even in this video, there was a mistake, even though it's a simple project. And I think it's, I suppose, when you get involved in a project, you're almost excited to see the end result. So you rush things a little bit rather than taking your time. So again, whenever you work with epoxy, take your time, you're going to get better results.
Watch the colors swirl. Gloves on, respirator tight. Safety in mind, epoxy art. Let's see what we find. Throw it on.
And I'm going to fast forward past the next few as well, so you haven't got to sit here watching me cut epoxy for 10 minutes. But again, it's the same process. So look for a part of a design that you like on the epoxy drips, and literally trace that shape and get it to the point where you can just pop it into the bezel, pretty much like I have done here. And again, you saw this was live, so it wasn't sped up. It took me probably about 4 or 5 minutes to get the perfect shape, and to be able to get it to just pop into that bezel. And again, probably would have been easier with a Stanley knife, but I don't know where I've put mine, so that's why I was using the scissors. Use what you've got. That's what I always say. And again, just inspect the pieces. If you see something interesting in the pieces, then hopefully somebody else will find it interesting.
Let's see what happens. This is fun. It's pure passion. If we can do it, you can too. Like and subscribe, cause carving UK brand new. Each pour new style with artistic souls. Epoxy dreams reaching great goals.
And there we go, just cutting the last rectangular one out. And popping it in. I did find that the square ones were much easier to do than the round ones because obviously you haven't got the to get the exact diameter and circumference right. And now we've done that, what you going to want to do is clear away all of these bits, put them back in the bag because they could be useful again in the future, and get your tape ready. Now, the tape I'm using actually came with one of the kits that I bought, but you can use anything. You can use painter's tape, you can use masking tape, as long as there is something for them to adhere to whilst you're putting that UV resin on. Otherwise, if you just try and pour UV resin straight into these, the little tiny gaps that you've got will make the resin leak. So just get in the tape. And a top tip for you is fold over each side. That way you will still be able to handle the tape without it sticking to your hands or your gloves or anything like that. So just fold over each side, place the bezels on there and press them down. Now, this is where I don't think I actually pressed them all down firmly enough because some of them it worked with and some of them it didn't, as you'll see later on. But that's straightforward. put them on the tape and press down. And if you can see here, I haven't actually gone around the whole shape of the bezel, and that's probably why we ended up having a couple of leaks. But press them all down, and it should create a seal at the back to stop that resin from leaking out. And snip off the other end. And don't forget to fold it over. That way you're still going to be able to handle it because this tape is really sticky. And as soon as you've got your gloves on when you're working with the resin, it will stick to your gloves. But there you go. This is stage one. Now time to get gloved up and ready for the resin. So there we go, PPE on, respirator and gloves, and this is just a little power bank I use for my UV light. Really useful, so it means I can move the UV light where I like. But this is the four that we're going to do, already attached to the tape. I wish I'd have re-adhered them, adhered to the tape at this point and actually applied a little bit of pressure before I poured in the epoxy, but I didn't. This is just normal standard UV epoxy that I got from Temu. It says it's hard in the description. And all I'm trying to do is fill them up all the way to the top before we cure them. And this first layer, you're not even looking to dome it. You probably do that on the second layer. But on this first layer, you're just looking to get it to the top of those bezels so it completely fills them.
Others watch the colors swirl. Gloves on, respirator tight. Safety in mind, epoxy art. Let's see what we find. Throw it on. Let's see what happens. This is fun. It's pure passion. If we can do it, you can too. Like and subscribe, 'cause carving UK.
Now, sorry about the camera work here. It seemed to be focusing more on my hand than the actual pieces, but you can see what I'm doing. Just straight from the bottle, the UV resin, filling them up to the top edge of those bezels. And if you haven't watched it already, the Petri effect video that we did last, we got some amazing results with that. And I've done another experiment with glitter and the Petri effect, which hopefully will be going live over the next couple of days. So stay tuned. And I've also done a bit of a experiment with glow in the dark resin, see if I could find a way to get the Petri effect on that. So stay tuned for that as well. All should be going live this week. And we've also opened our shop on Etsy as well. So if there is any of these pendants that you like, it's likely that after a week or so, they will be available to buy in the shop. So support the channel. If you like anything, get in there and buy it. Any of the products that we use as well, links are normally in the description, as well as any discount codes that we've got agreed with certain suppliers. So just making sure that they're all full to the top of the bezels, and now we're going to cure them. Again, I always just use a long nose lighter to try and get rid of any surface bubbles. I did miss one on this brown piece that I found out, or bronze piece, should I say, that I didn't notice until afterwards. But again, this is where you need to take your time, guys, rather than rushing it. So it's decided to cure them 120 seconds each side. And as I took them off here, realised that we'd had a little bit of leakage from them, but that's not a problem. It's always something that we can fix. And I think it's just because I didn't go completely round and apply that even pressure around each and every bezel. So as you can see, a little bit of leakage coming out, but that's fine. We can fix that. So at this point, just taking them off the tape. Again, it is very sticky. And you will get some close-ups at the end, guys, as well, just so you can. I know a couple of people are mentioning comments they wanted a little bit more on the close-ups, so I've been able to take a few of those of the finished pieces as well for you to see. So just scraping off that excess from around the edges with my scissors. And it does come off relatively easily as long as you do it straight after it's cured rather than leaving it a couple of days. Once you've cured it, just scrape off any of that excess from around the bezel. If you really needed to, you could always use a bit of alcohol as well or sand off the excess, but I chose to just scrape it off with the edge of my scissors.
Is that with artistic souls, epoxy dreams reaching great goals?
Yeah, I'm already seeing some of those designs in it. Really happy with the pieces that I picked. Now that's done, I'm just going to reorganize them and put a dome of UV resin on the top. And the only reason I'm reorganizing them here is just to make it easier for when I cure them under the lamp. So again, just putting another coat of UV resin on them all and doming it as much as I think I can get away with before it starts to spill over the edges.
Throw it on, let's see what happens. This is fun, it's pure passion. The colors so bright, it's a sight to see. If we can do it, you can too. Just follow me, like and subscribe. Custom carving UK, brand new.
And now that's done, just going to cure it for 120 seconds on each side again. And now that's done, let's have a look at what we're left with. This teardrop one I absolutely love. Um, I think the design on it, the shine we got as well from doing the dome, it is absolutely stunning.
It's pure passion. If we can do it, you can too. Like and subscribe, cause carving UK, brand new.
And my camera really didn't want to focus on the right things in this video, but I promise you it'll get sorted for the next one. Just going in for it so you can see the shine on the dome, and then I'm going to cut to the close-up so it gives you a better idea of the end result. For those that haven't seen it, this is the canvas that the Overpour originally came from in the previous video. So if you wanted to check that out, check it out. But this is the end result. Really, really happy with them. Stunning. The brown one I did notice had an air bubble in it, so I'm probably going to have to drill that to fix it. But the other three are amazing. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something in this. Do not throw away those overspills that you get from canvases. And please like and subscribe to the channel. Put a comment in there. Give us a thumbs up. Do you know what? Give us a thumbs down if you want. It all helps the algorithm. And we'll see you on the next one.